Meeting Wednesday, February 5th, 2020 is now in session. If you could all please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Before we move on to the business at hand, I did have a statement I just wanted to make on behalf of the Board of Selectmen and the Town of Adams. Earlier today, there was an incident in the area of Bellevue Avenue and Glen Street. There is an ongoing investigation, and therefore there are no further details available at this time. Adams Police are cooperating fully with the Massachusetts State Police, who are conducting the investigation. At this time, all requests for information are to be referred to the Berkshire County District Attorney's Office. And with that, we will move on to the business in front of us this evening, with the first item being the approval of minutes for the January 22nd, 2020 meeting. I believe that all members were present and can vote on the minutes.
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we wait in reading of the minutes and accept them as written.
Okay. I have a motion by Jim. I'll second by John. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, that is unanimous. Next on the agenda is public comment. Is there anyone here who wishes to speak to the Board of Selectmen about a matter that is not on our agenda this evening? Yes, if you could come forward and state your name and also where you live.
Hello, I'm Evan Bates. I live in Dalton, Massachusetts.
Hi, Evan.
From Adams originally. I own a business on Park Street, 43 Park Street, and I was here to discuss the inability to operate my business due to my landlord's delinquent property taxes. And I'm just trying to gather more information about the topic. So I found that there may be a waiver for it to get around this, but I have no idea, really, honestly.
Okay.
So that's about it.
Yeah, Evan, it's my understanding that the tax collector's office has been working with your landlord on a payment plan to make sure that everything is up to date. I do see that our health inspector is here, who I believe has been working with the tax collector, and to make sure that you are still able to operate until which that, while they're still working out the payment of their taxes. It's my understanding that the town administrator is very well aware of the situation and is making sure that you can still operate. You run a great business on Park Street. When I drive through at night, I can see the lights are all on and you have a good clientele that's coming in to town to come and see you for your artwork. So I know that we're committed to making sure that you still can run a business.
Thank you.
Here.
I appreciate that.
So through the chair, as of right now, you cannot run your business, is that true?
I can.
Yes.
Mark Blaisdell gave me a temporary permit until April, the end of April.
Okay.
Yep. And Mark, is there anything you can elaborate on, if you might want to come forward and maybe talk about that side of it for you? Not to cut you off.
You are correct.
Yeah, stay up there, Evan.
The tax collector is in communication with property owners. There's anticipation that they'll be making some substantial payments.
Yep. And I think I did see a communication from your landlord
Right,
to the tax collector on that.
I had a meeting with him yesterday too, and he informed me about it, but I have to double check everything,
I understand, and I would too.
Yeah.
It's your livelihood.
It is.
So I'm happy that you are taking those steps.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Just let us know, come back if there's any other issues. I'm sure you're being well taken care of. But
Yep. I feel that way.
good. Good to hear.
Thank you.
Good. And Mark, thank you for being on top of it as well, and working so closely with Evan so that he has an advocate.
My pleasure.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming forward. Appreciate that. Anyone else? Yes. State your name.
My name's Erica Gidrenti. I'm the director for the Council on Aging in Adams. I'll be coming back up shortly, as you'll see on your agenda. I just wanted to take a quick minute during a citizens conference to announce, as our newsletter just rolled out, we have an upcoming presentation on Monday that I wanted the community to be aware of. For anybody who is enrolled in Medicare, so anybody 65 and older, and also on Mass Health and or known as Medicaid, you could be eligible for some really great benefits through Fallon Health that they offer. And so they're coming to do a presentation on what that could mean on Monday at 10:30 at the Senior Center. And it could include free rides to the supermarket, doctor's appointments, to church, a lot of different things that other transportation services aren't able to provide, dental service, hearing aids, all sorts of other different healthy incentives that people could be. It's a really good program for people who could be eligible for that. And so I just wanted them to know that we're having an informational session on what they could be eligible for on Monday, the 10th of February at 10:30 in the morning at the Senior Center. Additionally, our tax program is going strong. People can, for low to moderate income, come and get their taxes done for free through the AARP IRS certified tax program that the town is willing to host out of the Senior Center. And we were able to assist 11 community members with taxes for free today, and we do that every Wednesday and Friday. Plenty of appointments still, actually, which is nice. We have a really great, robust of volunteers this year because of the partnership that our department provides to the tax program in the way of our coordination and our interview that happens prior to the actual tax return happening. We have a robust group of volunteers who are willing to come to our Senior Center to offer those. So we do have 5 certified tax preparers who are taking appointments on both Wednesdays and Fridays, the second half of the day. So that's really nice. It doesn't interfere with our office operations as well. Our intake procedure takes about 10 minutes of our town time, and they're able to use vacant office space that we have that's open to different volunteer programs at that time. So everything still continues to run smoothly, business as usual.
Erica, what are the hours, Wednesday and Friday?
So we take appointments anywhere between 11:30 and our last is at 2. So the appointments are roughly 11:30, 12:30, 1, and 2 o'clock.
And does one have to call ahead to make the appointment?
They should most certainly call ahead, book an appointment. Our phone number is 743-8333. Of course, Town Hall can also offer that number if it's more convenient for you to remember or call their number. And we'd be happy to get them an appointment. We have some holes throughout each day on Wednesdays and Fridays to sort of fill people at the last minute should we need to. And then again, for anybody that you may think or that you hear of that says, oh, I don't need to file anymore. I know I've mentioned it before, but give us a call. We can explore the opportunity of them perhaps trying to file to get the state's circuit breaker credit, which is an incredible credit that they could be eligible to get for as long as the state is offering it. So I highly recommend people explore that. And then I'll end with encouraging people to pick up our newsletter, which is distributed throughout the community and of course at the Visitor Center. In this particular issue, we have a really nice snapshot of all the programmings that we have planned thus far through the calendar year. So this list of events and opportunities are only going to grow. And I'm quite intimidated with what April has to offer because there's a lot of things happening in April. So with that, I'll thank you unless you have any questions.
When are you going to end the tax program?
The tax program, so our goal last year, we did 90 tax returns. So our goal this year is for anything over 90. We're shooting for 100 returns, averaging around 10 to 11 appointments per tax session. So with that being said, we have several tax preparers as they are volunteers who plan on traveling. They happen to have pre-scheduled trips and lifetime opportunities that they just couldn't pass up. We actually, if we're able to meet our quota, will not struggle to bring us all the way through the end of the tax season. We may actually end in March if we're able to. But we can continue to do tax preparations as long as we have 2 preparers on site, one that does the taxes, and then a second actually comes in to do what we call a quality review, just checks the work, essentially does it a second time. That will go right to April 15th if we have to. I believe, I can't quite remember whichever day that Wednesday or Friday is. We generally leave the last day of taxes open just for any loose ends that we may need to have taken care of.
Yes, I have a question. Regarding the Medicare and Medicaid, you mentioned Fallon Health. Do they have to be your carrier in order to get the add-ons that you're alluding to?
They wouldn't, they would become sort of an extra plan that you would offer, because you would continue to be enrolled in Medicare, of course, because you would be 65 and older, and Medicaid. So it is for anybody who is below a certain income. So if you're on Medicaid and you receive Medicare, what we call duly enrolled, then you could be eligible for this sort of extra benefit, and it's at no cost.
That's a supplement?
I don't want to misspeak because I think technically Medicaid is your sort of supplement. It's your extra plan. It's just like a bonus plan, I suppose. It's a limited contract that Fallon, I believe, has with the state right now. But again, I don't want to misrepresent what that program is. I encourage you to come on Monday if you have the time to really learn firsthand more about that program. I'll be there as well.
Yeah, just for clarity, once again, in order to be able to get access to these add-ons, do you have to have your insurance through Fallon Health in order to qualify? So for instance, I'm on Tufts Navigator health plan, and I have supplemental, but would I be able to go and to speak to someone and be able to get those benefits if I'm not being insured by Fallon Health?
No.
Okay.
So you would only be eligible, just to clarify that, you would
Yeah.
only be eligible for the program that they're going to be speaking about on Monday if you have Medicaid and Medicare as well. So
You
the
have
two
to have
programs.
both of them.
You have to be eligible for Medicaid.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, thank you, Erica.
Anything else?
Any other questions?
Also,
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Anybody else wishing to speak with the board about anything? Okay, we'll move on to new business. And the first item is introduction of Hoosick Valley Elementary School Principal Rebecca Sawyer. And Rebecca, if you wanted to come forward. I believe you wanted to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what's going on. And
Yes, and I wanted to extend an invitation. My name is Becky Sawyer. I'm the principal at Hoosick Valley Elementary School. This is my first year as principal there. My head is spinning, but I'm having a blast. And I wanted to come specifically tonight to extend an invitation to all board members to come to Hoosick Valley Elementary School and spend a day and come and see what we're doing, see what our kids are doing, see what our hardworking teachers are doing. It's an exciting place to be. It's a really happy place to be, and I feel like we should share that with the representatives of the community. The partnership between the town and the schools is an important one to have and to strengthen, and the best way to do that is to open our doors wide and invite you to come in. So I have a couple of days on the calendar, excuse me, that we've selected to host you if you're interested. February 12th is one of them. I believe that's a Wednesday. And then March 19th, which I believe is a Thursday. And a little bit about what the day may look like. We thought we'd start it with some tours of the building. We've got some pretty incredibly independent third grade students that we think would be great at showing you around the building. And then it would be followed by some classroom visits, which we'd like to do a little bit more than the typical pass-through. I think oftentimes, especially when town leadership is invited into a building, you kind of move through and you see and you get a glimpse, but I think it's important to camp for a chunk of time and watch reading group rotations move through, watch the kids work in math centers, and see how our teachers are navigating all these different learning styles in one classroom. So maybe visit a couple of classrooms. We would love to have you pop through our pre-K program. That's a really great place to go when you're having a bad day. And then lunch and recess with the kiddos in the cafeteria. Bring your snow pants if you want to play on the playground. We have some pretty strict rules about that, but we'd invite you to come and enjoy lunch and maybe go out to recess and interact. We want you to interact with the kids because they're the true temperature takers of how we're really doing in the building. And then we would like to offer you the opportunity to maybe shadow a student for a day and see some of our kiddos move around a lot, and they kind of bounce from one place to another to receive all the services and interventions that are necessary to make them successful. So to kind of see what a day in the life of a relatively typical student is at Hoosick Valley Elementary School for a little snippet in the afternoon. And then we'd like to open it up to a period for just coffee and conversation with a few educators, myself. I believe the superintendent will be in attendance for that piece of it. And just, we're interested to hear what you think, what your feedback is, and we're interested to hear of any ideas that you may have on how we can do the best job that we can for the kiddos of Adams and Cheshire. So, we'd love to have you if you're able to. I know obviously work schedules and whatnot can prevent that. That's why we tried to give a couple of choices. My hope is that these are some successful days and we can do it again. I'd like to do it a little bit more regularly, open our doors and invite folks in to see what we're doing. And speaking of invitations, if I may, I also have some invitations for
Yay, that's what I was wondering.
America Day on March
Thank you.
2nd.
Thank you.
We would love, if you want to come and read some stories to our students, we would love to have you set that up. Come in, the more the merrier. It's a pretty popular day, so get your slots as soon as you can. And we would love to have you come in. If you're interested in the Read Across America Day, the contact information for our literacy coach is on the paper. If you are interested in setting up a time on one of those tour dates, the February 12th or the March 19th date, you could reach out directly to me if you'd like to, or you can let Jay know and he can, I don't know what the most efficient way to coordinate that would be, but either way. I can share my email address. Jay has my email address. I can kind of send it out to everybody if you'd like me to. And if you just want to let me know which day you're going to come, that way I can kind of make sure that the schedule matches the amount of folks we have. Okay.
Yeah, so Becky, it sounds like it's a full day.
It's a full
So
day.
what,
Yeah, absolutely.
So the start time would be
Right around 9 o'clock.
9?
Yep.
And wrapping up?
Probably, I think we have coffee and conversation slated for around 1:30. That may end up being a little bit earlier than 1:30.
Okay.
It's a busy day.
Yeah.
It's a busy day.
Done by before 4 o'clock?
Well, you might be. I won't be. You can be done before 4 o'clock. Yes.
Perfect.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, we'll have you out obviously before the dismissal of the students, just to kind of streamline. That's a kind of a hectic time of day, and that's where our attention needs to be focused at that point. So I would say probably 2 o'clock or 2:30.
And outside of an email to you to RSVP, is there any other paperwork that you would need from any of us?
No, you'll be with school personnel the entire time. So.
Okay. Thank
Right.
you.
Does anybody have
Any other questions?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, well, I know Becky. I spend a lot of my time substituting at the school. And I'd just like to thank you for volunteering to come in. That's a rarity on our board. And for that, I thank you. And also, spending a lot of time there, I just would like to make a few comments about the elementary school. I've done all the aspects of the substituting there. I've been a teacher, I've been a para, I've been in rooms where children with needs are, and I found that the school is really working well as a team because there are so many different needs. Education is difficult, but it becomes much more difficult when you come from an area where we're somewhat poverty-stricken. We have a lot of broken families, households. We have a transient population of students coming in and out of our school district. And it's very enjoyable to see how the teachers, the paraprofessionals, and all the others that make up the school community work in unison to make things happen. A teacher's job, a lot of people say, well, they kind of have it easy. They have the summers off. That's far from true. A lot of our teachers spend a lot of their own personal monies to get things that are needed in the classroom. And we have children that are confined to wheelchairs. We have many children on the autism scale. We have many children with attention deficit disorders, and we have the personnel there that care so much about the students to make a difference in their lives and those of their families. And I just, you know, am amazed each time and every day I'm at that school to see the way that these teachers put themselves in the place of parents many times. And I would highly suggest, if any board member does have a time to go up there and see what's going on, I think it would be well worth your time. And lastly, speaking for the board, I think they'd all agree that you're going to Cheshire and speaking to them and coming to us. I see that you're trying hard to put a Band-Aid of what had happened between the two school systems, or the two schools, not systems, of course, were one. And for that, I also thank you, because it's important that we care more about the children than the parents care about not having a school, and Cheshire not having a school, and we do. But as an educator, you know the most important thing is educating your children. So thank you for your
partnerships. That's really the motivation for this. Was purely just partnerships and just making sure that your greatest resource is your children and your towns, and you're entrusting them to us. You should be able to come see what we're doing and see how we're doing. Great. Does anybody else have any other questions?
Just sign me up for March 19th.
I'm going to have to remember that.
Yes.
Oh,
I'll send you a message.
there we go. That's what I was hoping you'd say. Yeah, we got to put things in writing now. Life got a little bit busier over these past few months.
Great.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
We appreciate your time. Now we could talk about the 2020 federal census, and it looks like we have a joint presentation this evening from Town Clerk and Council on Aging Director.
Okay. Can I?
Yeah, you're okay.
Okay. First, I just want to talk about the town census. I know it's not on the agenda,
Sure.
but if you'll just humor me for a few minutes.
can humor you.
Not even a few minutes, a minute.
Okay.
Everyone should have received their annual town census in the mail by now. If you haven't, I would suggest that you call Town Hall and inquire why you haven't received it, and then we can look into it and get one out to you. Included with your annual town census was a dog license application, so if anybody wants to fill that out and send it in, we're more than happy to license your dog and mail it back to you. And also included was an informational sheet that about the annual, the federal census for 2020. So that was also included in your packet. So I think now we'll just talk a little bit about the federal census.
Sure. So a lot of people, what we hear in the community is we start talking about the federal census as we know, but perhaps not everybody realizes is that the federal census is done every 10 years. So we're gearing up for the 2020 federal census. A lot of people, because it happens coinciding a lot of times with the town census, is they say, oh, I already got that. It is very different, and I think it's important to point that out to the community. Haley's office does a really great job at rolling out the town census. Please fill that out. It is very important as well. Federal census will be coming out mid-March. So they will be seeing that again. Important to fill that out. It's very important for a lot of different reasons. And so we have been working with some local representatives for the federal census, but as well Haley and myself and the local librarian Holly have partnered together to set up a series of informational sessions in our community. And there's a few changes that are happening in this census than community members would have ever seen in previous censuses. Census opportunities. I'm not entirely sure how to say that word. It didn't quite roll out the way I was thinking it would. So let's see, where are my dates? So starting at the end of February, so we're at our last mobile food bank in February, which I believe is like the 25th, we decided that that was a large population of people that we would see all at once. So Holly was able to draft this flyer for us as just a quick first handout to remind people, as well as all of the just media that the federal census is putting out there to remind them about census information. On March 9th, it's a Monday at 11 a.m. And this flyer is going to go out at the last February Mobile Food Bank as a takeaway for them. Monday, March 9th at 11 a.m. at the Senior Center, we are going to be having an informational session with our local representative who works for the federal census, who's going to come and just talk about what to expect, answer questions and provide question and answers. 20 minutes, just a quick 20-minute presentation before our lunch program. Don't have to participate in lunch, but we're just trying to make it convenient for people. And then we're going to be offering an evening session at the library on Thursday, March 12th, just a few days later. And that'll be at 6 p.m. at the library. So I believe Haley will probably can put this on our website. So it'll be up on the website. We'll have a few handouts here if anybody happens to need it as a reminder of the days. And what people should expect for the federal census, the major change is that they're requesting that you do the return digitally, which, as you can imagine, will be very difficult for a large population of people. So between March 12th and 20th, so sometime after we sort of do those 20-minute presentations, you'll expect that invitation to come in the mail to respond to the 2020 census. That invitation will look like a small postcard that has an identification number on it. And the community will have to go online on their phones or their desktops, laptops, tablets, whatever they have at home, and enter that information and provide their federal census information that way. That will be not so easy for everybody. So I'll get into what the additional services we're going to be providing, but just to get back to what will happen if somebody doesn't respond to that postcard invitation. Between March 16th and 24th, a reminder letter is going to come out that says, hey, we noticed you still have not did your return and or your census. I'm still in tax mode. And then again, somewhere between March 26th and April 3rd, a reminder postcard will come again. Somewhere between April 8th and April 16th, you might see a reminder letter in the paper with a paper questionnaire. So people will still be able to file a paper return census if they haven't done it digitally. And then again, if nothing is responded that way, the door knockers will come. It's important to note that they will be very much identified as census door knockers, but they will come and knock on your door. Should you lose that postcard that has your identification number on it, we can help you find out what that information will be through the website information that we'll have some information to gather and get to. So let's backtrack. So your invitation to respond somewhere between mid-March is going to come out. We've been provided the few days prior informational question and answering sessions either at the library in the evening, Senior Center during the day. And then Haley, myself, and Holly from the library are going to take our laptops that the town's provided us with and head over to a few of the public housing locations. So on April 1st, we will be at the Mill Houses, 75 Commercial Street, from 9 to 11. And we'll just simply take your postcards, show you how to access the information. They have to put the information in themselves because it's strictly confidential, and confidentiality is what's the word I'm looking for? Is
Utmost importance.
utmost importance. But it's important for people to know that the information that they put in is protected confidentially. Of course, for some of the more elder individuals that might need an extra hand, we'll be there to help guide them through that process. We don't want them to be intimidated by that. And again, at the mill houses, that was April 1st from 9 to 11. April 2nd, the next day, we will be at the Barrett House from 9 to 10. And on April 3rd, we will be at the Adams Housing Authority, all in their common area spaces from 9 to 11. We'd like to thank them for their cooperation in providing us with an opportunity to set up there. So on those locations, again, April 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, we will be at one of the public housing locations to help people get their census taken care of and get it taken out of the way. Additionally, on April 7th, we will be at the Senior Center, set up from 1:30 to 3 to do those returns. Census information, and provide people with some guidance through the computers. And then on April 9th, we will be at the library from 5:30 to 7:30 in the evening for people to come in. April 14th, we will be back at the Senior Center for a more morning session from 9 to 11. And additionally, of course, both the library and the Senior Center have public computers that they can come to and use at their, without the guidance and support that they might need with the dates and times that we've set up. I believe Haley is trying to secure a computer here at the town hall as well, so that people can come in and do that here. If we can assist as many people as possible to get this taken care of, it would be a great deal of importance for the town of Adams. I think people don't often realize that their federal census, which is done again every 10 years, really shapes the dollars that support both our school districts, our local government, our Council on Aging. The Senior Center itself receives state funding based off of the federal census. And what we know historically is that our local census numbers exceed that of what our federal census says. So it's unfortunate because there are roughly over 100 seniors that we're able to provide assistance for, but we're not able to get financial assistance to support through the state grants that receive as a result of the turnout of the 2010 census. Anything? Questions?
Questions, comments?
Can we use a representative also if our numbers go down?
Yes.
You can, and we have in the past, but I think this time around, that as long as if people work as hard as you both are going to, I think we're going to be okay this time around. And everything you've discussed and presented to the board, I've heard all that information from the BRPC, and you guys are right on. I appreciate what you guys are doing. It is very important, as you have stated, that the census determines, for example, Title I aid, which our school district does receive, the amount we get. And all of our federal grants, school federal grants, and for highways, federal highway projects from the MPO that I'm on, and it's a huge impact, the number of citizens you have in your community. So you guys are right on top of it, and I appreciate that.
Great.
Other comments, questions?
Yeah, once again, I want to echo what John just alluded to, that it's very important that the census is done to the best of one's ability. And as was mentioned, we lost a member of our congressional district, John Oliver, when he retired because of the population. His seat was not brought back up, and therefore we have Richie Neal now doing all of Western Mass. And when you lose something like that, the constituency that was once represented becomes more elongated and can't give the attention that one could be given if we had someone that just represented a smaller area. But it's obvious now that we won't lose another congressional seat. I think that's safe to say, because
This time.
yeah. But anyways, thank you for all the work you do, and it's very important, the census for funding for federal and state monies has been mentioned. So thank you for your help.
We are working on getting these particular dates, locations, and times out in a public manner with a handout, and hopefully perhaps the school would actually be able to send those home in some of the flyers if possible for the folders that the kids have, so that the parents who are home will be able to see an opportunity to respond to the census this way too. All right.
Just one, excuse me. When you visit the Commercial Street, Barra House, and 4 Columbia, I think it is, you got to, by chance, take any of the town census forms?
Yes, and actually, my staff person in the office is in communication with all of those buildings anyway, so they give us a list of all the people that reside there already, so we already do that ahead of time in January, so we already know, you know, for the town census, it's more important for this aspect to go there and physically be there to do the 2020 federal census.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Don't forget to do the federal census.
Yes, don't forget. And if you haven't done your town census, please bring it in.
Is that due?
We're still collecting them. We're just a little info. We're about 48% we've gotten returned so far. So our goal is the first year we did it by mailing, we got 65%. So I would really like to make 65% if we could this year, but we're trying. That's all we can do.
Holly, just out of curiosity, when is the deadline for filing your census?
We get them all the way back to up until December.
Okay.
We
up
just
till
got one in
December.
December, this past December.
Okay.
We'll take them whenever.
So in the past, you've come forward to us and you've provided us with a number.
Yes.
When does that happen during the year for
Roughly, I try to do it around in June.
June? Okay.
You tend to target and get more people that you know that are still living here, especially after the annual town election. You know, you see more people.
Right.
People tend to bring them in.
And if I just may ask one
Sure,
question. For instance, we don't have a college, but college, if they're in a dormitory, their census goes to where they're at college because that's where they're living in. Is that correct?
Federal.
Federal one, right, that's what I'm saying, yeah.
Yes.
That makes it kind of, we lose some,
You see my frown?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because technically, it's where you're living on April 1st.
Right, so a lot of snowbirds that are in Florida, but if their main address
If their
is
main
here.
address, right, they're still gonna get the postcard, and they
right.
should really mail it here. I mean, a lot of our snowbirds don't necessarily own property necessarily in Florida, Texas, wherever they are. Their main
renters.
address is really here.
Yeah.
So they would fill it out for here.
And if you can find a way, if anyone's out there and they find the way onto the website, just Google searching U.S. Census, there's a lot of great resources and information about where people's where their postcards are going to get mailed, where they should, what address they should use to file, and things like that. And then again, at those sort of 20-minute informational sessions, there'll be a wealth of knowledge and information that we're even ourselves we're constantly learning something new every day, and different opportunities for people to file and stuff like that. So if you can make it to any of those sessions, it would be a great service to our community as well, just to educate yourself about the process.
Any other questions about the U.S. Census? Okay. All right. We can move on to the annual town election.
Want me to talk?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's your show now, Haley.
My show.
Yeah.
We've moved past the census, we haven't even touched on the March election, but let's move into the May election. The annual Adamstown election is going to be held on Monday, March 4th.
May 4th.
May 4th. See,
Okay.
I'm still into March.
I know.
I'm really focused on March this year.
I should have flipped those on the agenda, so my apologies.
That's okay.
That's my fault.
Before you should have a copy of the election calendar. We're going to talk a little bit. Nomination papers are currently available for the May 4th town election. The deadline for all candidates to get them into my office is March 16th. The deadline to withdraw, if you wish to do that after you've already submitted your nomination papers, is April 1st. And May 4th will be our annual town election. On this year's annual town election, there's a number of offices. I'll just read through a quick list here, and certainly if anybody has any questions about any of these positions or lengths of years or times that they are, feel free to just give my office a call, and we'll be more than happy to answer any of your questions. So we have a moderator, one select person, one assessor, one Board of Health member for a 3-year term, one Board of Health member for a 1-year term, 2 library trustees for 3-year terms, 2 park commissioners for 3-year terms, 1 planning board member for a 5-year term, 1 cemetery commissioner for a 3-year term, 1 housing authority member for 5 years, redevelopment authority 1 for 5 years, 1 redevelopment authority for 4 years, McCann School Committee, a 3-year term, 1, McCann School Committee, 1-year term, 1, Hoosick Valley Regional School Committee, almost said Adams Cheshire Regional, sorry, 1 for a 3-year term. And then we have multiple town meeting member open seats. We have 10 for 3-year in Precinct 1, 10 in Precinct 2 for a 3-year term, and then 1 open spot for a 2-year term in Precinct 2. Precinct 3, we have 10 for 3-year terms. Precinct 3, 1 for a 2-year term. Precinct 3, 1 for a 1-year term. Precinct 4, 10 for a 3-year term. Precinct 4, 2 for a 2-year term. Precinct 5, 10 for a 3-year term, and Precinct 5, 1 for a 1-year term. I know that's a lot of information, so certainly if anybody has any questions, give my office a call, and all this will be up on the website too. So if anybody has any questions about taking out nomination papers for the annual town election on May 4th.
And Haley, for clarification, the town meeting seats that have either a 1-year or a 2-year term, those are seats that have been vacated and are
Yes.
they're currently vacant. And
Yes,
that's
they are
why-
currently vacant.
So it's filling out a term.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Any questions for the town clerk?
So Haley, since you brought it up, the presidential primary election,
Yes?
changing subjects for a minute, I've heard that there's going to be, you can vote prior to that election. Is that true here in Adams, or?
That is true here in Adams for the March 3rd.
March
The
3rd?
Presidential primary election.
Right.
Before we get to that, before we get to the presidential election, because that's the next item on the agenda.
Okay, I'm sorry. I went ahead.
That's okay.
No.
We'll just continue with any other questions for the annual town election, which is being held on Monday, May 4th.
Yeah, I would just like to make a comment. I'd really like to see our town meeting member, all the precincts filled, because town meeting members are really important part of government here in our community. You're really the decision makers of things that are going to happen in this town, and I've always felt the more representation that one has, the better the results. So anyone out there, you know, it isn't too much of your time, but it's very important. So please feel free to contact Haley and discuss what it encumbers, and I hope that we fill them.
I do too.
Yeah.
I know that the Susan B. Anthony Committee is very committed to filling these positions this year.
Yeah.
Any other questions on the town election? Okay. We can move on. Yes, and the Council on Aging does provide transportation on the day of the town election.
And on the day of all elections.
All elections. Yep,
Yep.
and we'll remind people as we
Yes.
get closer.
Yes, we will.
Excellent, and this information is found on the website, the
Yes.
list of all of the offices?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, it will be all on the website if it's by
Great.
tomorrow.
Okay.
Thinking it's already there, but
I did see a Facebook post from the Vote for Susan project, I think the day that nomination papers were made available.
yes.
So they're on it. All right, so if you want to talk to us about, do we have to vote or accept it? No, we
No,
just,
I
it's
think
more
it was just more
information.
informational purposes.
Okay. All right. So
So
the
we'll-
presidential primary warrant.
Okay, so before you, you should have the presidential primary warrant. The presidential primary is going to be March 3rd, Tuesday. It's going to be at the Adams DPW Garage located at 92 North Summer Street. Our hours will be from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. On the ballot, you're going to see your presidential preference, state committee man, state committee woman, and town committees. Any questions about the warrant? Otherwise, I can talk a little bit about deadline dates. Okay.
No? Go ahead.
The deadline date to register to vote for the presidential primary is next Wednesday, February 12th, and the town clerk's office will be open until 8 p.m. So if anybody wants to come in and register to vote, or if you want to change your party, this is a primary. So if you are enrolled as a Republican, you will receive a Republican ballot. If you're enrolled as a Democrat, you will receive a Democratic ballot. Green Rainbow and Libertarian, you will receive those ballots. If you are what Massachusetts called unenrolled, and typically people called it independent, you will be asked which ballot you would like to receive. When you go in to check in, you'll tell them your name, your address, they'll repeat that back to you, and then they will say, what ballot preference would you like to receive? And then you pick your ballot, you go vote, you tell them in the back which one you picked, they check you off, you put it through, you're good to go. If you have any questions regarding which ballot you might want to receive, as soon as I receive the specimen ballots, I will have them up on the website. You can come in and request a copy, and they will certainly be there on voting day. They'll be plastered all over the wall, so you'll be able to look at that. And this year, the state has scheduled early voting for the presidential primary on March 3rd. Early voting will take place in Adams from Monday, February 24th to Thursday, February 28th. We will do it between our normal business hours, between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. You can come in and vote. You don't have to give a reason. Typically, when you vote absentee, there's a reason why you, whether it's a disability or you're going to be out of town or on vacation, whatever it may be. With this, you don't have to have a reason to vote early. So you'll be able to come into town hall, we'll have signs out front, we'll have signs in the building, you'll come in, you'll check in the town clerk's office, because that's where we do it. We'll have a booth set up, we'll give you your ballot, we'll do the same thing. We'll check to make sure if you're enrolled in a political party, if not, we'll ask you which ballot. We'll have those on the wall too, out in front of the town clerk's office, and you'll be able to vote that way. So that will be the last week of February, Monday through Thursday, here at Town Hall between the hours of 8 and 5 p.m., 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. But certainly, if you want to vote ahead of time of that also, you can request an absentee ballot, or you can come in and vote absentee also right now. So it's, strictly up to your preference of what you would like to do. I can tell you in March of 2016, I think we had 34%, 35% that came out and voted. So let's try to get that a little bit higher this year.
Great. Questions about the presidential primary?
Just out of curiosity, when do you have to have the ballot in print that people will be voting for the presidential?
The ballots are already in print. I
Okay.
have absentee ballots currently.
Okay,
I just don't have the specimen ballots for me to post on the walls. I'm expecting to get my early voting ballots by the end of next week. And no, I have my early voting ballots. I will probably have the regular ballots by the end of next week.
Okay.
So we're pretty set to go. It's just I'm waiting for a few other things from the state.
the reason I asked, there's a large Democratic field, and by March 3rd, there may be fewer. That's just what I might be surmising.
Unfortunately, the ballots have already been in
Yes,
print,
right,
so people need to be aware of that, obviously, and study the ballot, because there is quite a bit. I did have someone that came in today, and they were like, wow, there's a lot of people to choose from. I better make sure I tell my spouse that, so when they're looking at the ballot, that, they're already prepared before you go to vote.
Other questions? Okay.
So I would just ask that you sign the warrant tonight so that we can get it posted,
Okay.
if that,
Do you need an official motion?
yes.
Okay. Anyone like to make a motion to accept the presidential primary warrant as presented by the town clerk?
So moved.
Okay, I have a motion by Rick
Second.
and a second by Jim. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That is unanimous, and at the town clerk's request, we will stay afterwards and sign that.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you. That brings us to a facility use request for the Adams Visitor Center for the Noah Brown Scholarship Run to be held on May 2nd, 2020, 7 a.m. to noon. Is anyone here to speak on that? I don't think so. It is my understanding from Mass DOT and DCR that the trail will still be open at this time. This part of the trail will still be open, and that this event would be okay to operate. I was gonna say run as is, but that seems like a silly pun. Thanks for the pity laugh, I appreciate that. But it looks like all the other paperwork is in order here. And that the chief has signed off that the forest wardens will assist with traffic. Erica has signed off on the use of the building. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I don't think this is a run on the trail. I think this is the street loop that runs down,
I think that this one
Hoosick,
is.
Summer, and around,
I think they
around
come
that
in.
way.
Yeah. It's also access to the building. But that's a good point. Other questions, or? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve facilities use request for the Adams Visitor Center for Noah William Brown Scholarship, Inc. for Saturday, May 2nd, from 7 a.m. to noon.
I have a motion by Rick,
Second.
a second by Joe. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, that is unanimous. Thank you very much. All right, so we do have two ratifications before us this evening. We're getting there. Jolene's been very patient. The first one is the Animal Parking Control Officer. In your packet, there is a letter from Town Administrator Jay Green. Dear Chairman Hoyt, this letter is to advise the Board of Selectmen that subject to the Board's ratification as provided in Section 10 of the Town Charter, Kim Whittick has been appointed to the position of Animal Parking Control Office for the Police Department. Ms. Whittick has been working as a part-time animal control officer in the 19-hour per week and will be filling the Animal Parking Control Officer position, which was approved by the Board recently. Ms. Whittick is animal control certified already and will be assuming the 35-hour per week position effective February 10th, 2020 at the grade 5, step 6 rate of $18.83 per hour. Respectfully, J.R. Green, Town Administrator.
Motion to approve?
I have a motion by John,
I'll second.
second by Rick. Any discussion?
I think we should put an and between animal and parking.
That's what I was gonna say the same thing.
People are gonna be all over social media wondering how they're gonna park their dogs.
Okay, instead of the hyphen, I got you.
Correct.
Okay. I will make that recommendation.
Or at least a slash.
Yes. Okay. Oh, Rick. That's a good one. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. So, we do have a letter in our packet from the town administrator, which I will read, but as I'm reading it, Erica, if you wanted to bring Jolene forward. Is it Drosine? Sure. Jolene, is it Drosine? Drosine, yes. Okay. So, dear Chairman Hoyt, this letter is to advise the Board of Selectmen that subject to the board's ratification as provided in Section 10 of the Town Charter, Jolene Drosine has been appointed to the position of part-time van driver, 19 hours for the Council on Aging. Ms. Drosine has been working as a part-time van driver in the 10-hour per week position and will be filling the 19-hour position which was vacated by the recent hiring of that van driver into the Council on Aging Administrative Assistant position. Ms. Drosine will be assuming the 19-hour van driver position effective February 10th, 2020 at the grade 5, step 1 rate of $16.61 per hour, respectfully submitted by J.R. Green, Town Administrator. And since Erica is here, maybe you can tell us a little bit more about Jolene and introduce her to the board.
So, welcome Jolene to the Board of Selectmen meeting. I just first would be remiss not to give a big shout out to her kids at home right now who are super pumped that Mom's on live television. Jolene, as you read, was our 10-hour position. It gave her great experience both on the road and in the office to see the behind the scenes, why it makes the paperwork that they're doing important and everything like that, how the scheduling operates. And she did phenomenal in that role. I'd like to think she loved us because she was interested in the 19-hour position, and the community has really taken a great liking to her. Her bright smile and laughter has been a really nice addition to the office and in the community. So we're very happy to be able to offer her the 19-hour position. She's eager to work more hours should we have them, and any absences that come up, she certainly grabs them. Community loves her. We're happy to have her, and we're glad she was interested in the additional hours.
Great. Jolene, very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Would you like to say anything since you're here?
I just want to say thank you to Erica for hiring me and taking a chance on me, and I'm glad it all worked out, hopefully, that I'm getting the 19 hours.
Great. Did you want to say hello to anyone at home watching?
Yeah.
I'm not.
Okay. Any questions from the board?
I love people that smile. They're happy, so you got my vote.
Excellent. So I do need a motion to move this forward.
Madam Chairman, I'll make a motion to ratify the van driver, part-time van driver, 19 hours for the Council on Aging to Jolene Drosine.
All right, thank you, Joe.
And I'm going to make it effective February 10th, 2020.
Okay. Thank you, Joe. A second by Rick. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? It is unanimous. Well, welcome aboard.
Get the wheels on the road.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming forward this evening to introduce yourself.
Yeah.
You're going to say that.
I think we did, didn't we? Oh, okay. All right. This evening, we do not have any department reports from the town administrator or from town council, so we'll just move right into subcommittee and liaison reports. And Joe, I can start with you to my right.
Okay, I went to the Mohawk Trail Woodlands Partnership. Now we've become a board. Hank Art, who's a professor at Williams College, is going to be the chairman of our group. He's well educated. His teaching takes him right into the sphere of what the partnership is trying to do. And I thought that was a great choice for our chairmanship. And we're going to start to meet now on our own, away from the group that we put this program together. We've had a lot of support from the federal level and the state level because we're going to be in partnership with them. Our main goal right now is to try to find funding, which we're working on, and it seems that there's positivity in that, both with the federal and state government. So we're moving ahead with that, and I've also been going to a lot of meetings for the Adams Suffragette Centennial Celebration Committee. it's getting near crunch time. We've been meeting an awful lot. And once again, I think when time rolls around for our celebration in the end of August, I think that people will be happy with the end result. So once again, as I ask each time at the meeting to the public, we can always use more help. So if anybody would be interested in coming on board, please get a hold of our town administrator or Deb Dunlap, who is our assistant, and she'll give you all the information you need. So please help. That's all I have.
And Joe, the Black and Red Gala is
Yes.
next Saturday?
Yes, I will make that announcement.
Is it part of the announcement?
Yep. One of our large fundraisers is a black and red gala. It's going to be the 15th of February. That marks the 200th birthday of Susan B. Anthony, and it's going to be held at the Berkshire Country Club. And you have to secure tickets by February 5th, which is just a few, excuse me, yes, February, what's today? The 7th.
7th, okay.
Yes. Tickets need to be have in hand by that time. And once again, if you would be interested, we'd love to have you. And once again, you can get a hold of Deb Dunlap, and she can send you to the right person. So please feel free to, have a good time with us. We're going to have entertainment, and it should be a good time. And thank you for reminding me.
No problem. Thank you to you and the committee for all the work that you have done. And I know that things are kicking off next week, really, with the gala, which I know is part of the fundraiser, but it's part of the
Our year-round celebration. We've had other happenings, but this will be one of our bigger ones.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you. Rick?
Let's see, the Public Safety Subcommittee met, John and I, and there's nothing really to bring to the board at this point on that. The Alcohol of the Licensing Subcommittee met, and there's only one thing really to bring before the board. I'm sure folks were anxious to see what was going to happen with Oasis, not correction, O'Geary's, not Oasis, and with Lee's Dynasty. Well, the ABCC had their hearing, and they handed out whatever discipline they were going to, and that will be the end of it. Because they are the final say-so, so we can add or subtract or anything to those punishments, or if there was any. So it's done.
So do you, Member Blanchard, do you know what they leveled for punishment for
I do.
their wrongdoings? Is that something that...
O'Geary's was
Yeah,
basically nothing.
It's a warning.
a
They got the
warning.
warning.
Yeah.
And Lee's Dynasty was 1 day suspension. Well, it's technically 3 days. They will serve 1, and basically the other 2 will go away with good behavior.
Good.
And the day selected for the suspension is Monday, February 24th.
Monday's a slow day.
Yep.
Thank you, Rick.
I just have one question. Could you remind the board of what the infraction was? I don't think that was reported publicly unless I missed
Yeah.
it.
Both were an instance of serving to a minor.
Right, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Is there anything else?
Nope, that was it.
Okay, thank you for those 2 reports. Jim?
On February 27th, I attended a Council on Aging meeting, which Erica covered most of everything already, so we're not going to get into that.
Okay.
The 29th, I attended a Prudential Committee meeting. They discussed their audit for this past year, and everything looked very good, no problems at all. February 4th, I attended the Berkshire Solid Waste District meeting, and we're still working with North Adams to having them come on board, and right now we're discussing what we're going to pay. We have an outside firm bidding for us, so we'll see how that's going to play out. banners for fallen heroes are going great. I think we're up to 12 now. People have signed up for it. I had the opportunity to be on Jess Noonian's show this morning with Charlie O'Brien and Maureen Barron from the Adams Community Bank. They're moving along a little more. Tonight we had a Board of Health meeting, and that's it.
Okay. Thanks, Jim. John?
One more thing, I'm
I was just
sorry.
going to go back to the fallen heroes. You mentioned 12 individuals have signed up. So what are the requirements to be able to, for a banner to be developed and
Well,
posted? And
You have to be a member, a resident of the Adams, or an Adams, you know what I mean? And you have to be killed in action. That's a requirement for.
so a relative will contact Deb?
Yes.
And sign out some forms, and then the process goes to work?
Correct. I mean, we can't just put up somebody's picture up on the street, unfortunately.
Mhm.
So, the new laws.
Okay, thank you.
The other thing I forgot to bring, February 7th, I will be on Ed Morandi's show on public TV at 6 o'clock, so.
Great. Our resident television star.
I'll sign autographs after the meeting.
Good to know. Make sure it's on the warrant. Yes, go ahead, John.
The Berkshire Regional Planning Commission, a lot of talk about the census, everything that they indicated we had talked about too, so nothing to add to that. They did a great job. And what they've offered, they're going to be doing in the future, and volunteer, getting locations for those that don't have access to computers, need some help with computers, is really greatly appreciated. The second thing is the Metropolitan Planning Organization in regards to funding major road projects in the county. Route 8 is still a go. From the lights to the bridge heading south prior to Mullen Mayflower. The bridge is also going to have some work done to it, mostly just the top of the bridge, I believe, not a do-over or anything like that. It's not a major project for the bridge, but the rest of the road is a complete reconstruction, including water lines, fixing small bridges. There are small bridges you wouldn't notice, but there are throughout the Route 8 through that section. So that is going to happen, and surveying should begin this spring. So it's coming, and I'll have more information as we go. And the last thing is that Rick mentioned that we did have a public safety subcommittee meeting, and we did, just briefly, I just had a couple notes here that we met with the building inspector and with our health inspector, and we discussed buildings that are in need of major repair, or the owner has pretty much left and does not take care of the building. Some, for instance, have holes in the roof, and no one's living there, and we've been keeping our eye out on those buildings. And it's a long process to take any action. Of course, we want those buildings to be renovated, hopefully, and the owners step up and they fix their buildings and get occupants in there and get tax revenue. That's the ultimate goal. In some cases, they're just abandoned, and we need to take action. But again, that takes time. That takes court processes. But there are a few buildings in the community that we have our eye on that we're going to be looking at take care of. The other part of the subcommittee meeting was in regards to the police department. As everyone should know, that Chief Tarsa is planning to retire at the end of this fiscal year, I believe in June. Mm-hmm. And we need to get that, and according to the town charter, the Board of Selectmen will select a new police chief, as we did Chief Tarsa years ago. And we discussed very briefly the job description of the police chief, and that's going to be moving on to in the process, and then a process will be developed again by the town administrator, brought forward with the chairman to us in the process of electing a new police chief. What is the goal of the board for the new police chief?
In speaking with the town administrator, we were hoping to bring somebody on board for June 1st, or around that time frame, to be able to spend some time with Chief Tarsa.
Okay, so that's a pretty big aggressive.
It's pretty aggressive.
With the budget season coming up. Also reviewed the current staff profile of the department. There are several police officers that are planning to retire in the near future. So we have taken proactive steps. When that doesn't happen, we have other officers ready to step in, so we talked about that. And I believe that's it.
All right, thank you very much. Announcements and good of the order. Joe?
Well, once in a while, I bring things that are beyond the town of Adams and locally, but nationally. I just want to say that regardless, Democrat, Republican, what I'm seeing in this country is becoming very bothersome to me. I think that we're losing civility in this country. I think that it just bothers me as an individual to see how torn apart this country is, and I'm just going to stop there. I like to get things that bother me out, and what I'm seeing is just troublesome.
Rick, anything?
Nothing.
Jim?
Nothing.
John?
I don't know if I mentioned this before, but there's a couple streets in the town that are used, in my opinion, as shortcut-type streets. I'm just wondering when the next traffic commission meeting will be. I'd like to be able to attend to discuss those areas. They're just used as shortcuts in there, and people are speeding down those roads. I just want to bring it forth to the traffic commission to see if anything can be done.
It's my understanding the Traffic Commission will be meeting sometime this month. They
Okay.
have a pretty extensive agenda at this point that they're trying to put together, and they're just trying to find a date that works with the members of that commission. But I believe that the chief is working on solidifying a date and time.
Okay.
But I'll make sure that he sends that information to you.
Okay.
Or that Marilyn, who is the assistant to that committee, will be in touch. And I think that, Jim, you are the
I'm the
liaison to
liaison,
that?
yes.
Okay.
In the board, we brought forward to the town meeting that a bylaw that all streets that are not posted a speed limit, that the speed limit is 25 miles per hour. I believe that's what was passed a couple of years ago. So I just remind everyone to take your time as you drive through town, side streets.
Anything else?
That's
John? Okay. There is a presentation tomorrow at the Colonial Theater. It is free. It's being put on by the Berkshire County District Attorney's Office. It is a presentation regarding the book No Visible Bruises, which has to do with domestic violence. If you are interested in attending, again, it is free, but pre-registration is required, and there's information on the District Attorney's website to register. And I don't believe there's anything else to come before the board this evening, and if that's the case, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion adjourned.
Thank you, Rick. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Jim. Any discussion on adjournment? Hearing none. All in favor?